Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know how you are suffering and how poor you are, though in fact you are rich. And I know the insults of those who call themselves Jews but aren't. On the contrary, they are a synagogue of the adversary. There are two seemingly obscure scriptures that speak of the synagogue of Satan, but they speak volumes of what we are to observe in the world around us so that we don't fall victim to a stumbling block. The synagogue of Satan is a massive stumbling block that everybody should avoid. After all, who wants to be associated with Satan in any way, shape, or form? Let's dig a little bit deeper into the scripture that speaks of the synagogue of Satan. It is very important to concentrate on exactly what was said and the exact wording of what was said if we're going to get an idea of exactly who is being spoken of here. Let's take this from the end and work our way to the beginning, shall we? First, let's focus on the words, synagogue of the adversary. Notice it says synagogue and not temple, mosque, congregation, or church. The scripture speaks specifically about a synagogue. The only people on the face of the planet who have synagogues are the Jews. Also take note that the scripture states a synagogue of the adversary, which means there is more than one. If it were referring to a single synagogue, it would be phrased the synagogue of the adversary. Who do these synagogues belong to? The scripture states those who call themselves Jews, but aren't. So we have non-Jews, otherwise known as Gentiles, saying that they are Jews, and according to Scripture, these people make up the synagogue of the adversary. This would mean we have Gentiles who present a Jewish appearance to the public and who try to appear as if they are Jews. If it is a synagogue, there must be a Torah in it, right? I don't know of any synagogue that doesn't have a Torah in it, so this is a must for this group of imposter Jews. But what else does a real synagogue have in it? Well, it has the Talmud, which is the law of the Pharisees. We know the Messiah was constantly speaking out against the Pharisees because of their man-made laws and their perversions of the Torah. In fact, he called them sons of Satan. So does this make the Orthodox and the other Rabbinic Jews the synagogue of Satan? No, because the scripture clearly states that the synagogue of Satan is made up of people who say they are Jews, but who are not. The vast majority of Rabbinic Jews are real Jews, so they're excluded from being the ones spoken of in the scripture. So which group of non-Jews are out there who possess the Torah and the Talmud and also say they are Jews, but aren't? Well, there are three groups that fit this description that are made up completely of Gentiles who dress up as Jews, claim to obey the Torah, and who also use the Talmud in order to try to learn the Torah. These three groups are the Hebrew Roots movement, the Black Hebrew Israelites, and the Sacred Name movement. Each of these groups makes up an individual synagogue of Satan. The fact is, real Jews don't need to find their Hebrew roots. We are our own Hebrew roots. Even if we were not born into Judaism, any answers to any questions that we can possibly need as to our lineage and our real ancestry can be found in our nearest Jewish community. Ancestral records are kept in every community, and within a few months we can know where our lineage has its origin. A real Jew doesn't go to a group of Gentiles to find out who we are and where we came from, because Gentiles have absolutely no clue. Of course, those who make up the synagogue of Satan like to hurl insults at us, real Jews. And they even try Hitler-style tactics to try to diminish us as Jews and sometimes even as real people. They have created a conspiracy to say that we changed scriptural Hebrew, even though scriptural Hebrew has been read, written, and spoken the same exact way since Noah and even before. Our Creator doesn't change, and neither does his language. As real Jews, we highly respect our Creator, and we keep things just the way he established them thousands of years ago, and none of us would ever disrespect him by changing his language or anything else that he has established. Of course, we are not rabbinic order, and we do not obey the Talmud the way our rabbinic brothers and sisters do, either. They have their own issues that they have to work out between them and our Creator. It is out of their immense respect for our Creator, though, that they mistakenly obey the Talmud and believe that the Talmud leads them to obey what is written in the Torah. It is this dedication to Him that also leads our rabbinic brothers and sisters to never change the scriptural Hebrew language, contrary to what the synagogues of Satan have been saying. Now, the synagogues of Satan do not know Hebrew, not scriptural or modern Israeli. What they claim is Hebrew is not Hebrew at all, but rather Aramaic. They call it Paleo-Hebrew, but in fact it is Aramaic, which is the original language of ancient Babylon, and is also the language of Satan himself. It's quite fitting that the synagogue of Satan would speak his language, isn't it? They also say that the Hebrew language came from Aramaic, but this is also false. Arabic came from the Aramaic language, and we all know what religion primarily speaks Arabic, now don't we? We know the synagogues of Satan by their uses of W's and Q's in their transliterated pseudo-Hebrew language. What they have done in their desperate attempt in trying to convince unsuspecting Gentiles that they know scriptural Hebrew is to study Strong's lexicons in order to try to deceive Gentiles who are waking up to the lie of Christianity into following them and joining their religion instead, because they give the false impression that they are authentic Hebrew-speaking Jews. Any real Jew is not fooled by them because everything about them and their religion is completely contrary to the truth which was established thousands of years ago. Scriptural Hebrew is a sacred language, and any real Jew would never misrepresent it in any way, shape, or form. But out of ignorance of the language, lack of relationship with the Father, laziness in trying to actually learn the language, and self-serving pride, the synagogues of Satan have moved Christian replacement theology to the next level. Since they can no longer convince people by twisting scripture that Gentiles replace Yisrael and Yehuda, they have taken it one step further and have been trying to physically replace us. If you truly have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, you will see what is being presented here. Very clearly, too. If not, you will try to lash out and attack me for speaking the truth. The gig is up, and you've been exposed for what you truly are. But it's not too late. Every true believer, whether Jew or Gentile, needs to do these things. First is to study the whole word of the Creator, and not just isolated verses to push an agenda. Second is to pray for understanding, and to trust no man at all to teach you Scripture and its meaning. The third is to meditate on what you've studied and prayed over, and to obey all of the commands that pertain to you as an individual. And fourth is to do so out of love for the Father and the Son, because if you don't do it out of love, it's only legalism. The Talmud will not teach you the Torah. The only teacher of the Torah is the Messiah, Emmanuel.